Welcome in, everyone. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes free-to-play rolls on. Today's the 14th of August. Thanks so much for being here. Don't know if I want to talk about stuff today, right now or later. Let's just do it now in case I forget for later. Pretty good day. All told, we went to the fair. We just got back from the fair an hour-ish ago, maybe. Because it's like, basically like, down to the right, down to the light here, turn, and it's up the hill and around the corner type thing. Didn't get to see a lot of stuff, and the reason for that is because kids are easily entertained with bounce houses and stuff, and so that's what we wanted to do, and so that's what they did. Other than that, saw some horses, saw some goats, saw some tractors. That's about it. I had to make sure I took part in fair food. If you've not been to the fair in this year or ever, or I don't know, you just live like where the fair is far away, I encourage you to make the trip. It's still weird to me. And you know what? The fair is something I wish we had done more of when I was little, when I was young. So we grew up in a county where we basically lived on the north part of the county, and the fair was on the south part of the county. And this county is not a small county. It's pretty big, size-wise. And I don't think I ever went to the fair until I was in middle school, high school, something like that. And really regret that, but I do. I really regret my parents not taking us to the fair. And the fair where I grew up, it takes place in November. And so having a fair that takes place in August, I'm like, it's like, what is this? Why would you want to go to the fair when it's like 80? Because that's about what it was today. And granted, I grew up in the South, but in November, it's a little bit cooler. So it's just weird for me going to the fair in August, and we went about we were gathered about 5 o'clock. We stayed a little over 3 hours. We didn't get to see much because the kids didn't want to see anything. The kids just wanted to play in the bounce houses. And that's unfortunate. But I'm hopeful as they get older, I don't know that it's ever going to change out of being super hot in August. But yeah, I think just getting there and maybe staying a little bit later, or maybe even getting there like an hour later and staying. So getting there at like 6 and leaving at like 9, or maybe a little after might be a little bit better. But I did it again. I didn't mean to do that, of course. But I just totally forgot about Shock T. But like I say, if you've never been to the fair for whatever reason, I would encourage you just to go check it out, just to go and take it all in. If you're younger, like in your 20s, then ride some rides, talk to some people. If you've got a girl or boyfriend, I encourage you to take them, have some fun. Just if it's something that's gonna be incredible, if you've never been because it's something new and it will weird you out, that's just all the more reason why you should go, just to experience it and just to, challenge yourself. Go into some bar and see some animals, touch some animals. And we live in a rural county, and so there's a lot of people with a lot of animals, and it's just, we were there and we saw girls riding horses, and they were so close where I could have touched them, and my kids could touch them if they wanted to. And growing up around that, if you've never seen girls like that wear jeans, because there's just girls that have horses or have livestock or raise sheep or cows or whatever. There's just something about them that just you wanna. For me, you want to know more about the people, what their life is like, and just because I've never been part of that, I'm intrigued by it. And so, if you go to the fair, make sure you go see some animals. Make sure you go see some live animals. Go meet some people. Go talk to some people. Ask them. Tell them, hey, just out of curiosity, what do you do? What does it take to raise a goat or even a rabbit or a chicken, or I don't know. But just broaden your horizons and just, and this is something you might want to do before you have kids, if you have kids, because I fell into a trap. I didn't have any expectations for it. I just naturally thought, because in the years past we had gone and done seen animals, and we played a little bit afterwards, that I naturally thought that was how this year was going to be. And it ended up not. We went through some buildings, and then we ended up at the bounce houses, and that was pretty much all she wrote, because that's all my kids wanted to do. And they're young, so that's and then we'll make adjustments. Well, that'll be something we steer clear of next year. And as they get older, want them to learn more, want them to learn different stuff, want them to talk to people, want them to have different experiences, want them to learn about animals and what it takes to be a person that raises different animals, and what their day is like. Because another thing, kids that are part of families that raise animals, you just get around them and you're like, and you can see, and you can tell there's a difference between them and you. Like, I could tell the difference between my kids, because my kids are hyper, and these kids that have animals or part of families that have animals, they they're calm. They're more intentional. They're more respectful. They're not rushed. They just do their thing. They're quiet about it, and then that's how they function. And so I want to encourage you, if there's a county fair coming up anytime soon, just take a night. Just get there, 4 or 5 o'clock. Go see some animals. Go talk to some people. Ride some rides. Take in whatever event is that night. Have some. I had some freshly made cheese curds, fresh squeezed orange lemonade. Sorry. Some fresh deep fried Oreos, because they were Oreos, but they deep fried them right there in front of me. And then, probably shouldn't have had crappy pizza, but because, any other pizza you're going to get is probably going to be better than fair pizza, but it's whatever. But, there comes an experience with having fresh lemonade, a deep fried Oreo, and fresh cheese curds. And like I said, it's just something. Just take one night out of your life. This happens 1 week a year, and go to the fair and meet some people, talk to some people, see some stuff, be exposed to stuff that maybe you've never been to. And then if you like it and you feel like going back again, then do it. Maybe you have some more questions. Maybe there's some stuff you want to see. Maybe you meet a person that you have interest with. It's just, take a chance and don't let it pass you by, because, like I said, I wish my family had did it when I was younger. We didn't start going to the fair until we moved to where we live now, which was 5 years ago. And we lived in a county with a fair, but we just never went over there because we didn't have kids. We weren't. That's not something that we did as either of our families rather did, and we should have been intentional, and we should have gone and just done it to meet some people, to learn stuff, to experience stuff. Because I'll be honest, I didn't go there. It's not that I didn't want to. I just didn't end up talking to people. And it's like, if you're not prepared to go in and talk to people, it can be because, like me, I'm not naturally. But if you are, go for it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks so much for the time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. As always, God bless. Hold the line, and I'll see you next time. And friends everywhere.